Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday, and he'll continue to tell you about his sojourn to Washington, D.C., sitting there at the luncheon for Macron, meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office, and presenting him with his book. So much to talk about. There's even more evolving as we speak. So even when Dr. Savage is not here, even when he is not on the air, he's making news. The media is now reacting to Dr. Savage's endorsement of Kevin McCarthy for the Speaker of the House to take over for Paul Ryan, who is leaving. So even when he's not here, he's making news, and he'll bring it all to you comes Monday. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-SAVAGE if you want to get in on the conversation. Team Savage is here, Jim is here, Ron is here, and we invite you into the fray. I'll tell you, it's an historic day in the world, okay? And a lot of people throw that around, but today history was truly made. We have Kim Jong-un shaking hands with Moon Jae-in from South Korea. How many of you even know that we are still in the Korean War or the Korean conflict or the police action, whatever it was called back in the day? It has never ended. And today we have taken a monumental step forward in ending the Korean War, but more so bringing peace and bringing safety to the Korean Peninsula and hence the world. I don't know if people realize how huge this is. It's Friday. Spring has sprung around the country. People are starting to look towards the door. And, maybe you're not watching TV. Maybe you're at work. You've got your deal going on. Maybe you're mowing your lawn. All I know is that whatever it is you're doing, that now you're listening to the Savage Nation, history happened today. And it is all because of President Trump. The mainstream media in the United States and probably around the world will not give him the credit for that. But it is because of President Trump that this historic handshake heard around the world happened today. Kim Jong-un, just a year ago, was threatening to bomb Guam. We had the governor of Guam appearing on various cable TV networks talking about preparing in case he should get bombed. Kim Jong-un threatened Alaska. He was firing rockets into the Sea of Japan. He was firing rockets over the mountains of Japan. He was defying China. He was defying Russia. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. That's where he got the nickname. It was during this time period where Trump mocked him on the floor of the UN, called him Little Rocket Man. But now everything changes. Now a big step forward. President Trump, Kim Jong-un will be getting together. An undisclosed date, undisclosed time, but the date will be shown to us soon. And now there's something to talk about. But I have to digress first. A few months ago, when it first came out that President Trump was willing to meet with Kim Jong-un, I have to admit, I thought it was a bad idea. I did not think that Kim Jong-un had earned the right to meet with the American president. I didn't. I thought he's a murderous dictator, inherited the position from his father, killing relatives, killing people who disagreed with him, jumping around the international map like a petulant child. And he did not earn it. For those of you who are dog people, I'm a dog person. When you're teaching a dog and they do things, you give them a treat. It's called positive reinforcement. You've heard that. Well, I'm sorry, Kim Jong-un did not earn his treat. It's as simple as that. And the big treat here is a steak meeting with the President of the United States, regardless of who it is. In this case, it's Donald Trump. But I do feel that if it was any of the other Republican candidates, Kasich, Rubio, Bush, Christie, on down the line, Rand Paul and the rest, or if Hillary Clinton had won, we would not be having this conversation today. We would not be talking about a handshake in the DMZ zone with Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in. We would not be talking about an upcoming meeting, possibly within the next month or so, with President Trump and the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. It would not be happening. And I tell you what, I don't trust Kim Jong-il, and I'd like to know from you, the listeners to the Savage Nation, do you trust Kim Jong-un when he says, consider getting rid of his nukes? Excuse me. I don't. Okay, I don't think he earned I don't think he earned the meeting with the president, but now I'm in favor of them getting together. But I have my suspicions. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'll tell you why. It was with big fanfare about a week or so ago. President Trump, and it was correct at the time, said Kim Jong-un said he would stop testing his missiles, and he did. And that is something you should brag about. You know, in honor of the upcoming meeting, he's not going to test his missiles anymore. Well, we find out now the reason he stopped testing his missiles. Reports, intel are telling us that there was an accident and the whole place blew up where they were testing the missiles. They can't test the missiles. They're physically incapable of testing their missiles. So this is a lie. So they still were testing their missiles. And there was an accident. And the only reason they stopped is because they can't do it anymore, at least for the time being. So why did he lie about that? So this goes to show you that his pattern of lying, it remains. But Donald Trump has been talking tough. He talked tough to Iran. They got the message so much that Khomeini, the leader of Iran, was, out there telling the Muslim world to reject Trump, reject America, reject Christianity. He obviously was feeling that. But we now have to look at the fact that this meeting is taking place, and it's a great thing for the region. It's a great thing for the world. Imagine, and I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm really not, but I would guess that outside of the savage nation, I would bet that the overwhelming majority of Americans are not even aware that we are technically still at war with North Korea, and many Americans gave their lives. My father served in the Korean War. It wasn't like there was a big thing on the Missouri, surrender on the Missouri, like to end World War II with the Japanese. It wasn't like when, Berlin was bombed and Hitler's bunker was destroyed and they all committed suicide or allegedly committed suicide. We know Goebbels did, killed his whole family too. The Korean War just kind of ended or kind of stopped because technically it's still going on. And then we entered into that period of nothing happening on the Korean Peninsula until around the 1990s when Bill Clinton comes into town. And Bill Clinton, being naive, gave Kim Jong-il, the father of Kim Jong-un, a bad deal. Kim Jong-il gave Clinton a bad deal, just like the Iranians gave Obama a bad deal. The deal went something to the effect of, yes, give us all of the capability and the know-how of how to build nuclear weapons, but we won't build them. That's a very loose translation. What it comes down to is Bill Clinton, along with the blessing of Jimmy Carter, have given nuclear capability to the North Koreans. That's it in a nutshell. And now, in 2018, we are dealing with it. But previous administrations have been dealing with it too, and they haven't done anything with it. Okay, they've kind of just been passing it along to future presidents, passing it along to future generations. Well, with passing that along, you're passing along the danger. Okay, and now you have Kim Jong-un. He's been in there for quite a few years now. His father died. He took over, and I truly think, and I've said this before while here on the Savage Nation, that he wants to be taken serious. He's been educated here in the United States. He knows Western culture. Let's face it. He loves Western culture. Who doesn't love movies and pizza? Come on. Everybody loves this stuff. And I think in his quest to be taken serious, he'll give up anything. And I say this joking, but I mean it. It might sound foolish, but I mean it. This guy loves Western culture so much that if you put him on Dancing with the Stars, he'd be happy. If you invited him to the Golden Globes and sat him up front, and to the Oscars, which probably Hollywood would welcome him, a devilish, murderous dictator, they'd love him. He's right up their alley. They give him an Oscar, Lifetime Achievement Award. Yeah, but all kidding aside, he would love this stuff. But he has to settle on just, meeting with Donald Trump and going to the G21 summit and getting a chair at the big table. I always use the Thanksgiving analogy, the kids' table, the adult table. You have Merkel at the White House right now as I speak. You had Macron there all week, a big international week of success for the president. Angela Merkel and Trump, she doesn't like him, but she's there and she's playing nice, and they had a very good photo op before, question and answer, and they sit down. The press conference seems to have gone very well. He's handling these international leaders who disagree with him on everything. Macron would like the Iranian deal to stay, and he handles them well. They like him, okay? Merkel, she'll have to like him, but it's amazing what we see him doing with these people, the art of the deal, if you will. Now he's going to have to turn that charm offensive onto Kim Jong-un when they meet, but here's the deal. He's got leverage over Kim Jong-un. Okay? Kim Jong-un wants the sanctions to go away. He needs the sanctions to go away. Yes, he can get supplies from Russia. He can get supplies from China. We know he's gotten supplies from China. But he needs those sanctions to go away. And what Trump is going to tell him to do is stop with the nukes. Give up your nuclear arsenal. Will he do that? Well, I don't know. That remains to be seen. I think he's going to give numerous concessions, but I don't think he's going to give them up totally. Will it be enough just to maybe disable them? But do we trust them? And that's my question to you, the listeners to the Savage Nation. Do you trust Kim Jong-il? I do not trust him as far as I could throw him, but I have to say my opinion has changed. Can North Korea be a trusted negotiating partner? Or is Trump going to get played? Will Trump get the credit if there is a denuclearized Korean peninsula? No. What's his name? Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, has said today that Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. A lot of people are going to disagree with that. I think he should get the credit. Will he get the credit? Not on CNN, not on MSNBC, not on ABC and CBS. No, he's not going to get it there. But where it matters in the eyes of the world, where it matters in the eyes of the American people, does it matter? Yes. This is huge. I don't think people understand the gravity of what happened today. You know, we're so busy looking at Kanye West and Bill Cosby. We're so obsessed with pop culture, not to mention the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, baseball season has begun. You know, there's all of these distractions, plus life in general. People, number one, don't know we're still at war with North Korea. And number two, as Americans, this is a fault of ours. We don't really care about international news unless it directly affects us. So when Trump meets with Un, everybody will know about it. But when Kim Jong-un shakes hands in a historic meeting for the first time ever with a South Korean leader, in this case, Moon Jae-in, Americans keep looking at their phones and their tablets and their Instagram posts and taking pictures of their burritos. That's what we're doing. But I don't think people truly understand. So my question to you is, do you trust Kim Jong-un? I don't. Can North Korea in general be a trusted negotiating partner? Long answer, no. Short answer, no. And will Trump get played? Trump made a statement earlier today that previous presidents have all been played by the Kim family, grandfather and father before Kim Jong-un. And if Trump pulls this off, will he get credit? If he gives up his nukes, Kim Jong-un, will Trump get credit? 855-400-SAVAGE. Lou Pate here with you in on the Savage Nation. And remember, Dr. Savage will be back on Monday. But in the meantime, click on michaelsavage.com. You get to see the pics and the stories of his D.C. trip and see all of the latest headlines. You are listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646.
I want to express my hope that all of the people of Korea, North Korea and South, can someday live in harmony, prosperity, and peace. And it looks like it could happen.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday. In the meantime, check out michaelsavage.com. Lots of great pictures there and stories from the doctor's trip to Washington, D.C. And while you're there, you could also get the latest headlines. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, it's 855-400-SAVAGE, 400-7282, talking about this historic day, the handshake heard around the world from by Moon Jae-in of South Korea and Kim Jong-un. This is the lead-in to the big meeting with President Trump and Kim Jong-un. But can Un be trusted? Will the media give President Trump credit? I heard a spin earlier today that they're not giving him credit. This was a guest actually on CNN who said the credit goes to Kim Jong-un for sending his sister to the Olympics, the public relations offensive that we all witnessed there. And it is that led to negotiations with South Korea. They give President Trump zero credit, yet South Korea, as we speak, is telling Christiane Amanpour that they give all the credit to President Trump. Boy, she must be squirming. Well, as I mentioned earlier in the show, Angela Merkel is at the White House right now. Emmanuel Macron from France was there earlier in the week. When he came, he tried and convinced President Trump to honor the Iran deal. Merkel, her job while she's there is to try and convince Trump to honor the Iran deal as well. So should Trump side with our allies, France and Germany, and honor the Iran deal, or do what he said and get out of it? And Dr. Savage was there with President Trump this week. Do you think Dr. Savage was able to advance the agenda we all voted for with the president and the members of Congress? 855-400-SAVAGE. That and much more coming in. My name is Lou Pate. You are listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-72.
It's the Savage Nation. My name is Lou Pate, and I'm in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday. In the meantime, check out michaelsavage.com. If you missed the good doctor, well, there's a lot of great pics of him at the Capitol, in the Oval Office, and making his way around Washington, D.C. There's also stories there from his trip. You can see all of that while getting your headlines. 855-400-SAVAGE. Kim Jong-un shakes hands with Moon Jae-in, a historic day. I wonder if Americans are even paying attention to this. I see the media is trying to spin it in a way that is not favorable to Donald Trump. They do not want to give him credit, but I'd like to know from you, the listeners to the Savage Nation. Do you give President Trump the credit? And will Trump get credit if there is a denuclearized Korean peninsula? A lot going on. As far as Kim Jong-un, I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, but he's doing better. Just meeting with the South is something I think he knows he has to do. President Trump has leverage over him as far as, he needs President Trump more than President Trump needs him. But think about this. You don't often realize that you're a part of history as history is unfolding. Days like 9/11, you realize this is historic. And then the media beats the term historic to death, so it kind of loses its flair. Today is one of those days where we are witnessing history. But first you have to know your history, and many people don't realize that technically on paper we are still at war with Korea, okay? And this says a lot. Think about how many times the heads, and there's only been three, the grandfather, the father, and now the son of North Korea, have been down to South Korea. Never. Okay, there's the action in the DMZ. We had that soldier from the north who fled to the south, and they shot at him. There's that crazy video of him running. Got shot 6 times. He survived. It's pretty amazing if you think about it. And I think this is going to be easier for President Trump than he even knows. Because I think I know Kim Jong-un. I really do. He is a murderous dictator. He has killed family members. He does kill anybody who is in opposition of him. That we know. He is a nepotism dictator. Quite frankly, I don't think he wanted to be a dictator. It's just he was born into it. He had no choice, or else they'll kill him too. I'm not saying he's a nice guy. He's not. He's a killer. But here's the thing. He is young. Okay? He has been around the world. He's had more money than any of us will ever know. He's never had to worry a day in his life. So he's been fortunate enough to be around the world. And he, as I said in the first segment, he likes Western culture. Okay? And now that he's the leader, he wants to be taken serious by the West. It's as simple as that. That is all it is. I said on the Savage Nation a year ago, if you invite him to the G21 summit, all of your problems are over. He will give you anything you want. This is what he wants. I can feel this in my gut. I mean, am I wrong? It's 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Or is this just something where it was a handshake, it was a photo? Is Trump being played by Kim Jong-un? I'll tell you what, Trump has made some powerful statements about not just Little Rocket Man and all of that kind of stuff on Twitter. When he threatened Guam, when he threatened Alaska, do you remember? The media was saying, the media was saying it was fiery rhetoric that was going to get us into a war. Well, the fiery rhetoric that Trump laid out there was defending you and I. When a hostile dictator is threatening an American property in the form of Guam and threatening a state in the form of Alaska, and our president defends us, that's what he is supposed to do. That's his job. This week, after all of the fiery rhetoric coming out of Iran, while Macron was in town at a press conference with Macron right to his right side, we talked about it the other day right here on the Savage Nation, he gave a strong warning to Iran. This is good. The world is watching. We want a strong president. We want a bold president. We want someone who talks tough. Okay, we want someone who defends us. We don't want someone, can we all just get along? We don't want that. Got Rodney King for that. Oh, he's gone. May he rest in peace. But you know what I mean. Can we all just get along? We can all just get along if the bullies of the world would stop trying to bully the rest of the world. And Trump is not going to put up with it. Obama put up with it too much. And in his words to Iran, in his words to North Korea, there's a message to Russia. There is a message to China. Okay? And also within, if you think these world leaders don't talk, they do. All right? And their messages, their conversations just not leaked like whoever's leaking Trump's conversations with world leaders around. But you think that after Xi Jinping met with Donald Trump and they had a nice conversation and forged a friendship, that when China's talking with Russia, that he doesn't tell Putin, take this guy serious? And I do think that Putin has a respect for Donald Trump. I don't think he respected Barack Obama at all. And believe it, he didn't command respect. He didn't demand respect, so why would he? I don't think he's not too happy with what Trump did in Syria, but he respects the move. I think Putin has a chip on his shoulder about losing the Cold War. He's never going to get over that. So while he's in leadership there, we can never be buddy buds like we are with other people. But he does respect Trump. Xi Jinping respects Trump. Abe in Japan respects Trump. These people didn't respect Obama. They might like him. Putin liked him because he could push him around. But they respect/fear what Trump might do, because they know it's not just rhetoric. He's not just shooting off his mouth. So let's get to the phones. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Can North Korea be trusted in negotiating to get rid of their nukes? Will Trump get played? And if all goes well, will Trump get credit if there is a denuclearized Korean peninsula? Producer Jim and I were laughing before the show watching CNN squirm as South Korea gives the credit to President Trump. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to Gloria, WABC, my old stomping grounds. Not only did I live and grow up there, Gloria, I worked there. How are you?
Hi. I don't trust Kim Jong-un. If his equipment broke down and he can't fire his missiles, how come the United States didn't know about it?
Well, we did, but we didn't know the first day. Sometimes it takes when they don't call it the Hermit Kingdom for anything, Gloria. It's the Hermit Kingdom for a reason. It is hard to get intel there, and the fact that we got it relatively quick was astonishing. Our credit to our alphabet soups of agencies there. So they got it. It wasn't instant. We're in the instant gratification society now. Sometimes these things take a few days.
The only reason why that guy is behaving, that nut job, the only reason why is because he's cornered. That's why he's acting civil. I don't trust him. I'm 77. over the years, I've seen his father lie to the United States. It's not just Trump that's getting played, I believe, but it's a whole bunch of other ones before him. And his father was the same way. This guy's cornered. He's going to do anything. And, he's a murderer. And you say he killed his own family. He'd probably eat his own family because he's crazy. And
all right, well said, Gloria. Thank you for calling from WABC. We do appreciate it. Let's go to Dr. Savage's affiliate in San Francisco, Gene, KSFO. Welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
I'm doing well today, thank you.
And how can I help you?
Well, I don't trust the leader of North Korea just because of his past behavior. But I believe this is Trump at his best doing the art of the deal. I think he is not playing Kim Jong-un, but I think he is playing towards what he wants. What he wants most, what he desires most, is to be famous. And I believe maybe he's choosing to be famous by going the peaceful route instead of becoming infamous in bombing people with nukes.
And end up hanging from the end of a rope like Saddam Hussein and so many others.
Yes.
All right, Gene. Well, very, very well said. Thank you very much. He's in me with the fame route. Like I said, part of the negotiations, get him front row tickets to the Oscars, and he'll love you. And I'm not kidding when I said that. Let's go to WFNC. George, welcome to the Savage Nation. How are you?
Yes, good afternoon. Lou, and first of all, I want to thank you for taking my call. And two, you probably don't remember, but during the time that Donald Trump was running, this black minister was in full support of Donald Trump. In fact, I designed a shirt for candidate Trump that is now hanging in Trump Tower.
Well, let me, George, before, that's very nice of you. I was unaware of that, but let me just say, it says here on my screen that you are a decorated 83-year-old vet, so let me give you a salute over the radio airwaves and commend you for your service, and thank you.
Lou Pate, I landed at Incheon in 1953 aboard the General SS Miggs. The sky was lit up and I knew then as a young trooper that it was combat. They transported us up north, and I was assigned to the 7th Infantry Division, 15th ACAC.
Okay.
And the headquarters company, we had an observation post to spy on the Chinese. There were 2 white soldiers up there with me, and we slept on comma wire and C-ration boxes. They left the C-rations at the base of the hill, and every time one of us went down to use our entrenching tool, the military know what I'm talking about.
Right.
There was a prayer.
Well, let me just ask you this, George. I don't mean to cut you off, but we were short on time here. Do you trust Kim Jong-un, excuse me?
Guess what? I trust Donald Trump because he has the temerity and the gonads to move this thing in a positive way. I was on the MLR, the main line of resistance, on July 27th.
Wait, hold on. We don't have time to go back that far. And I apologize, but I do want to. I said thank you for your call and thank you for your service. Interesting, though, he says. I ask if he trusts Kim Jong-un. He says he has trust in President Trump. We'll continue with the conversation. We'll take a quick break. It's 855-400-SAVAGE. Remember, you can go to michaelsavage.com. Check out all the pictures of Dr. Savage. He'll be back on Monday, and he's actually adding to his list of stories that he touched on yesterday, and he'll continue that on Monday. In the meantime, all of your headlines, michaelsavage.com. Great pictures, great stories, and we'll be right back here on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday. And if you want to see a lot of great pictures and stories from his trip to Washington, D.C., check out michaelsavage.com. When you're getting all your latest headlines, you'll also be entertained by Dr. Savage's sojourn and his happenings through D.C., the Oval Office, the luncheon, the Capitol. He even met with Lindsey Graham. Funny stuff. Let's get back to the phones in reference to North Korea, but also Angela Merkel is at the White House right now. She is there to try to convince President Trump to remain in the Iran deal. Macron was there from France earlier in the week to do the same thing. What should Trump do? Should he honor our allies, or should he get out of what I think is a bad deal? I think it's a bad deal. And how would leaving the Iran deal affect our relationship with Europe, such as our allies as Merkel and Macron? In the meantime, let's get back to the phones. 855-400-SAVAGE. Do you trust North Korea, or is Trump getting played? Kathy, KVOR, Colorado Springs. How we doing, Kathy? Oh, okay, Kathy, if you hit a bad cell zone or something, give us a call. Let's go to Reno. Bill, KOH. How we doing, Bill?
I'm doing fine. I served at the Joint Security Area at Panmunjom. I was a military policeman there for a year and was toe-to-toe next to North Koreans. I've watched North Korean television. I slept there. I was there 24 hours, and then we were on QRF for another 24 hours, and we had a day off. There were 3 platoons. And
okay, what did you take? What did you take from being so close? What vibe did you feel? What sense did you get from that?
Well, you know, you were always on edge when you were there, and you knew that it could be, your life could be over. We did get hostile fire pay, $65 a month, which was the same amount at the time as combat pay.
But Bill, where does that leave you now as far as this historic day now moving forward? I mean, you were down in the trenches literally. I mean, which way do you think this is going to go? Your war might actually come to an end.
The South Koreans right now are being played because he says the war is over. As far as the North Koreans feel, the war is not over. They just want us out of South Korea. And Trump will try to be played, but I don't think he'll buy into it. But the South Koreans right now are being played, and all that matters to the North Koreans is to get us out of South Korea.
Yeah, but we're not going to get out based on one meeting. And how is the South? I'm not saying he's not trying to play them, but it's not like they've given anything up. So how are they being played, Bill?
By saying the war's over, and because they're going to still be on a war stance. You know, I mean, I knew that there was only an armistice signed. The war was still on since 1953.
Yeah, but I don't think just because he says the war is going to be over and they smiled and they held hands and they shook hands that they're just going to buy that. I don't think okay, fine, now we're going to remove our troops from the DMZ and all is well, and don't worry about it. We'll start sending tourists up there to start vacationing. I mean, Moon Jae-in is not stupid.
And the younger South Koreans, they don't understand what the older South.
No, because they didn't live through it. Just like our younger generations don't understand because they think nothing happened before they were born. That's one of the curses of youth. But Bill, thank you for your call. Do appreciate it. Lou Pate here with you. This is the Savage Nation. Dr. Savage will be back Monday. Go to michaelsavage.com. You got to check out. He's got a lot of great picks and stories from his trip to D.C. This is the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday. And if you want to see some great pictures and read some great stories about his trip to Washington, D.C. this week, while getting all your headlines, go to michaelsavage.com. But in the meantime, I encourage you to take part in the conversation here. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Again, I mentioned we'll continue taking your calls on North Korea because it's amazing that this historic day is upon us. Kim Jong-un shaking hands in the DMZ with Moon Jae-in. It's a step in the right direction. Do you trust Kim Jong-un? I don't, just based on his history, but his most recent history where he said he stopped testing his missiles, and, you know, he really didn't. They had a big explosion there, and they weren't able to test their missiles anymore. So I don't think Moon Jae-in, I don't think Donald Trump are stupid, but will Trump get played? Is Kim Jong-un playing him the way his father played so many other presidents? It is truly amazing. And then there's the issue of the Iran deal. Going to overlap these two things. We had Emmanuel Macron from France was in the White House this week, state dinner, luncheon, the whole 9 yards. Dr. Savage attended the luncheon or the breakfast. And his job was to convince President Trump to stay in the Iran deal. And if he could, get him into the Paris Accord, back into that. And now Angela Merkel is at the White House as well, and her job is the same. She's the number 2 talking to the president about keeping him in the Iran deal. I don't know why Russia, China, Germany, and France think this Iran deal is a great deal, because it just isn't. And it's one of those things, though, that for some reason our European allies and in Russia, they want us to stay in this thing, and it's just not a good deal. We have to get out of it, but we'll see what Trump does. I think he's going to do the right thing and get us out of it. He's not going to go into the Paris Accord either. We talked about that the other day. But before we get back to your phone calls, I do want to ask you about, in reference to the Iran deal, how would leaving the Iran deal affect our relationship with, say, France and Germany? Macron and him seem to be buddy-buddy. Merkel, not so much. Her and Trump disagree on a lot. Is it going to, add some discourse? Or are they not going to deal with us on other issues if we get out of this? Or does it matter? It doesn't matter? I think it matters. I think anytime you're working on something together, it's better. But I can't see the positives in it for us or the world to be in bed with the number 1 state sponsor of terrorism, giving them $150 billion, and then they only have to keep their word till 2023. I mean, what's the sense? But before we get back to your phones, let's play Ron and Jim, clip number 16. This is President Trump commenting on his relationship with Merkel, who he's meeting with as I speak.
It's a great honor to have Chancellor Merkel, and I will say that you can rest assured she was going to win that election, and congratulations on winning. And by the way, a formal congratulations. That's a great victory. We're working on a lot of different subjects, including trade, including NATO, including military of all types, and we have a really great relationship, and we actually have had a great relationship right from the beginning, but some people didn't understand that. But we understand it, and that's what's important. But a very extraordinary woman, and it's an honor to have you at the White House. Thank you very much, Andre.
And there you have it. So Macron didn't seem to move the needle. Will Merkel have a chance to move the needle? I hope not. I don't think she would. And in reference to the North Korean situation, I was talking to you before, will Trump get the credit if the North Korean peninsula is denuclearized, if the whole Korean peninsula is denuclearized, I don't think they will. CNN is already trying to spin it. I mentioned before they're giving credit to the public relations offensive by Un during the Olympics, sending his sister down there. But the curveball is that the South Koreans are giving Trump credit while talking to Christiane Amanpour. And I'm looking at Twitter, and James Woods, the actor, who is on Twitter all the time, and you really should follow him. I don't tell anybody to follow anybody, but I would recommend following James Woods because his wit and his insight into all things politics, quite frankly, are poignant, and they are also hysterical at times. And in reference to Christiane Amanpour, he put hashtag LOL. Amanpour might have to check into a rest facility. That's in reference to his earlier post. Reagan ended the Cold War, Trump ended the Korean War, and all the Democrats got with these Crackerjacks peace prizes. Oh boy, pretty funny stuff. But anyway, I don't trust Kim Jong-un, but we're moving forward. We're going into the right direction. But I'd like to know from you, the listeners to the Savage Nation. No, we don't trust him, but is Trump getting played? Let's go to Tim, WABC, New York. Welcome to the Savage Nation. How are you? Hey, Tim.
Hey.
Okay, we seem to have lost Tim. We'll try back with him later. KFAY, Michael, welcome to the Savage Nation. How are you?
Hello?
Hello, Michael. Floor is yours.
Doing fine. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. How can I help you?
Well, I think Kim Jong-un cannot be trusted, just like the Iranians cannot be trusted. The Iranian thing is invalid on its face because it was an agreement that was never ratified or vetted by our representatives here in the United States. So if Trump wants to get rid of it, he should, because it was null and void on the surface. But Kim Jong-un can't be trusted. His facility, he says, is destroyed, but until there's physical verification of that, I don't believe it. He probably knows his capabilities, doesn't think he needs to test anymore, and is confident that he can do whatever he wants with his nukes.
I would have to agree with you on that. Thank you very much. Do appreciate your call, Michael. 855-400-SAVAGE, just to give the number out there to those folks who may not have had. And on Iran, if anybody wants to comment on if it will affect our relationship with our allies, if Merkel fails to get Trump to stay into the Iran deal. Should we stay in the Iran deal? I don't think we should. Let's go to Matt. Matt WJHC. How are you?
Hey, good. Thanks for taking my call. I think the only reason why we should even at all entertain the idea that Kim Jong-un might be serious is because of the tremendous strength Donald Trump has exuded. I think that maybe he realizes it's the end of the rope for him. And it's either self-preservation by abiding by some things, or else he realizes that the jig is up. I think his tremendous human rights violations have just come to roost. And I think we need to thank Donald Trump, and the media really needs to get on board with backing up the tremendous strength he has given.
I think you're right. And I think the Russians and I think the Chinese, Putin and Xiaoping, have gotten the message, and they've conveyed it to Kim Jong-un. Like, hey, this is it. You know, we like this guy. We respect this guy / fear this guy. He's no Barack Obama. He's not joking. And if you keep messing with him and making these threats, you will rue the day. I do believe a conversation to that effect has taken place. All right, Matt, thank you for your call. Do appreciate it. Go to San Francisco. George, KSFO. Welcome to the Savage Nation. How are you? Hey, George. I'm not hearing George. Oh, he's gone. All right, listen. While we're talking about this, I do want you to play for you President Trump's comments. I'm going to play clip 17, guys. This is President Trump commenting on North Korea and talking about the two Koreas coming together and also his meeting in the future. Clip 17, please, guys.
A lot of very positive things happened over the last 24 hours. We're in total touch with both North Korea and South Korea. We'll be setting up a meeting very shortly. Hopefully we're going to have great success. We'll see what happens, but hopefully we're going to have great success. So President Moon and I are speaking, and we're speaking very much with South Korea and with North Korea. The relationships are building and building strongly, and this will be a great thing for the world. Angela and I have discussed this over the period of the last 15 months quite a bit, North Korea, the North Korean problem, and I think you're seeing that a lot of very positive things are happening.
All right, let's get back to the phones. Nathan, KBET, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for holding. What's up?
Yeah, no, so I agree with the caller that was on the line with you earlier. I think Kim Jong-un is up against the wall. I think that him and his father have dealt with leaders in the past that they have known are all bark and no bite. And he knows that when Trump says we're going to annihilate you, he means we're going to annihilate you. And what alternative does he have in that scenario? He gives up everything that he has so that he could possibly shoot a missile off. I think he knows what's happening, and I think Donald Trump knows that the situation is in our favor. And that's why Mike Pompeo was there, and I think this is going to work out in the world's benefit, for sure.
I agree, and I have said from last year when he was threatening Guam and Japan and Alaska, and he was shooting off his mouth. He did not want to die. He was just trying to get attention. I keep calling him a petulant child, and it's no different than when you see a toddler throws a tantrum, throwing themselves on the floor, trying to get their parents to bend to their will. And that's what I saw going on there. And that's why initially when it was announced that Trump said he would meet with him, I was against it because I don't think you reward bad behavior. But then again, I'm not president of the United States, and he knows more than I know when it comes to intel. And so far, it seems to be working out. But one last question, Nathan, is you think Trump is going to get played?
No, I don't. I don't think Trump is going to get played. I think if there was a chance that he was going to get played, we wouldn't have sent Mike Pompeo there. It wouldn't have happened. Trump has too big of an ego to allow himself to be embarrassed like that, and it won't benefit Kim Jong-un and his regime to do that. There is nothing. The best thing that Kim Jong-un can do right now is save face and come across to the world as if he is a humanitarian, and what he is doing is something to benefit all. He has no choice. If he did, he'd still be shooting missiles off right now. He's not dealing with Barack Obama. He's not dealing with Bush. He's not dealing with Clinton. He's dealing with Trump. Trump is a parent that when he says, if you do that one more time, there's going to be consequences. And that's why we bombed Syria right now. It had nothing to do with Syria. It was showing Kim Jong-un, we're not joking around here.
And again, that was a message to China and Russia as well. Nathan, excellent points. Thanks for calling the Savage Nation from KBET. We do appreciate it. 855-400-SAVAGE. Can North Korea be trusted as a negotiating partner? I say no. What do you think? And that's based on their most recent lie. And will Trump get played? And what about the media? The corrupt media here in the United States? Will Trump get credit? Will they give credit if the North Korean peninsula is denuclearized? I don't think they will. They're not. They're already trying to spin it. Look, Kim Jong-un's a murderous dictator, and they're giving him credit for this meeting with Moon Jae-in from South Korea today. They're not even mentioning Trump, yet South Korea is mentioning Trump. And again, still on the table, unrelated, is the Iran deal, but I guess they're all kissing cousins and overlapping. And Trump's harsh language to the Iranians, which the media always criticizes, when he threatened them, should they mess around. Now Iran's Khamenei is urging Muslim nations to unite against the United States. Now, that's just like talking word salad, because to me that tells me that his meeting with Macron, now his meeting with Merkel, the harsh rhetoric aimed towards Iran earlier in the week, means Khamenei is feeling it. He's not happy about this. Rouhani was complaining as well. So what is going to go on with Iran, and how will it affect our relationship with our allies in the Middle East? Should we be in the? Do you think we should stay in the Iran deal? Because if you think we should, I want to hear from you as well. 855-400-SAVAGE. Check out michaelsavage.com. Go see pictures and stories of Dr. Savage's trip to D.C. while you're there getting your latest headlines. You are listening to the Savage Nation. Savage Nation, Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage, who will be back on Monday. And before we continue with the conversation, I just want to let you know we're talking about Iran. We're talking about North Korea. Should Trump listen to Merkel and Macron and leave the Iran deal, and stay in the Iran deal, where when America feels he should leave? And if so, will that affect our relationship with our European allies negatively? Historic day, North Korea shaking hands with South Korea. Now the big meeting with Trump and Kim Jong-un. What will happen? But before then, is Trump being played, or will he get played? And is the media going to give him credit? Lindsey Graham already said today that he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. 855-400-SAVAGE. And I also want to throw out there Chuck Schumer, in reference, kind of overlapping, Mike Pompeo, the new Secretary of State. Chuck Schumer is actually criticizing the new Secretary of State, saying that Pompeo doesn't have the right values and the right commitment to our core national principles. The man graduated number one in his class. Number one in his class from West Point. Maybe it's Chuck Schumer who doesn't have the right values and the right commitment to our core national principles. Because remember, it was Chuck Schumer who has been holding up literally hundreds of appointments by President Trump. One, most notably, Richard Grenell, just got the ambassadorship to Germany. This guy is brilliant. He's a Republican strategist. He worked with Bush. He worked with Romney. He's gay. Why is Chuck Schumer holding back a gay man moving forward as ambassador of Germany? Maybe it's Chuck Schumer's values we have to question. More when we come back here on the Savage Nation. Lou Pate here with you, 855-400-SAVAGE.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
I got to tell you about the big news. You know, in the last 2 weeks, Simply Safe won Editor's Choice Awards from CNET Mag, PC Mag, and The Wirecutter. 3 respected product testers, they put Simply Safe through a battery of tests, compared it to other home security products. Simply Safe won every time. I've been telling you about Simply Safe for a while now. My opinion, best home security system, hands down. They protect over 2 million Americans like you. This is a home security system you actually want in your home. The sensors are tiny. You won't even notice them. It's unbelievably easy to use. You can control it right from your phone. But wait, here's the most important reason. This isn't a gadget. It's comprehensive protection for all your windows, your doors, your entire home, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Professional alarm monitoring there for you around the clock, just $15 a month. No contracts. No one else is doing it like this. Learn more about how Simply Safe can help protect your home. Just go to simplysafesavage.com. Did you hear me? SimplySafeSavage.com.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate here with you, along with Team Savage. Jim and Ron are here. Dr. Savage will be back on Monday. In the meantime, go to michaelsavage.com. Dr. Savage has posted a lot of great pictures there and some stories from his trip to Washington, D.C., and he'll continue to share those with you on Monday, as he did yesterday. So while you're there getting all of your latest headlines, check out all that fun information. There's a lot going on. We've got Iran. We've got Russia. We've got Iran. We got North Korea, but I guess it all, revolves around Russia as well. And before we move on, before we get back to your calls, I just want to enter into the fray. A while ago, a year or so ago more, I actually apologize for not remembering exactly when, we talked about a little boy by the name of Charlie Gard, little British boy, and he had mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome. Okay, I don't expect you to remember that, but he was a little baby and he dying. Okay, his DNA was all screwed up, his mitochondrial DNA was all screwed up. His parents wanted to take him to the United States, where housing would be provided, transportation would be provided, and medical care at some of New York's best hospitals was going to be provided. And the English government said no. They said he only has a 10% chance to live. They would not allow the parents treatment in England. They would not allow the parents to remove their only son, their own child, from the country to get treatment, which was being offered by some of the best doctors in the world in New York City. Now we have another sad story. 2 years old British infant Alfie Evans. He's captured the world's attention and imagination and hearts. He has an undisclosed neurological condition. Is it the same thing as Charlie Gard? We don't know. But we do know that whatever he has destroyed more than 70% of the white matter in his brain. Okay? It's a very sad story. Again, the parents want treatment for their son. This is, again, Great Britain. Charlie Gard was Great Britain. Alfie Evans, Great Britain. Doctors took him off life support a couple of days ago, and much to their chagrin, much to their surprise, he's still alive and breathing on his own. Now, as his father suggests, he could live for months. He could live possibly for years if treated. And the British government will not even allow that to happen. They want to take him to Italy for treatment. And if, to add insult to injury, after they removed him from the life support system and he didn't die, they didn't give this 2-year-old boy, Alfie Evans, food or water for 24 hours. So like with Charlie Gard's parents, who later, he died, rest in peace, Charlie, the parents wanted to take him away. The British government said no. Now Alfie Evans, very similar story. They want to take him to Italy. No. Alfie just won't die. The British government wants him to die. Folks, this is Obamacare. This is the future of medicine. This is the future of healthcare in the United States if you want to go down the universal healthcare single-payer road. You have government dictating to you when your child can live and your child can die. They take them off the respirator. They take him off all of the medical equipment. The poor thing, he doesn't die. And they don't feed him or give him water for 24 hours. The father says he could possibly live for months or years, precious moments that he will have with his family, and the English government is saying no. I mean, think about this. I'm throwing this story into the pile because this is about life and death. This is something that could potentially affect you. And even if it never affects you, God willing, down the road, this is a story that the whole world should know about, because this is what socialized medicine does. This is what the vermin, as Dr. Savage calls them, in D.C. want to bring to us. They don't want this type of health care. But could you imagine your child dying and you can get free assistance through generous doctors somewhere around the world, and the government will not allow you to remove your own child from the country, and then they refuse to give the child water and food for 24 hours, hoping that he dies? It's incredible. So we're going to add that in. We've got North Korea. We've got Mike Pompeo being slighted by, of all people, Chuck Schumer. We have Iran. We have North Korea, where there's so much going on. So let's get back to the phones here on the Savage Nation. It's 855-400-SAVAGE. Let's go to Russell, WABC, New York. Hey, Russell, how are you? Welcome to the Savage Nation.
Thank you, Lou. I think Trump's recklessness frightened the South Koreans into negotiating. The political will in Seoul showed up, and it's the South Koreans that initiated this. Kim Jong-un is not afraid of us. If you're afraid, you don't take a bold step like this. I don't think Trump even knew the announcement was coming because he was tweeting at 4:30 from the bathroom about James Comey.
How do you know he was in the bathroom?
Well, that's what he starts the day out with, his tweeting machine.
Wait. Russell, hold on. First of all, your first statement, I want you to back up. Give me an example of Trump's recklessness.
Well, when he said we're going to unleash fire and fury unlike the world's ever seen, I think it's undoubtable that you can't argue that Trump is a reckless individual.
No. Hold on. Why did he make the fire and fury unlike the world has ever seen? What prompted him to make that statement?
Well, up until Trump's administration, the North Koreans did not have a nuclear missile.
You're not answering my question. What prompted him to make that statement?
Trump was afraid of the North Koreans, so he...
No. If you're going to lie, I'm going to move on. Or if you don't know, I will educate you. But let's not just waste valuable time here on Dr. Savage's show. Why did Trump make that statement? This is your third strike.
Okay, he wanted to blackmail the North Koreans.
Wrong, Russell. What happened was Kim Jong-un threatened Guam, an American territory. He threatened Japan, an American ally. He threatened the state of Alaska. So don't you want our president defending us when someone's threatening to blow us up?
Well, I think what he should do is recognize that denuclearization...
Do you ever answer a question, or you just keep talking?
I was going to say that he...
Nah, thank you for your call. You're wasting everybody's time. Let's go to Helen, WABC, New York. Helen, how are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. My opinion is that President Trump is doing everything right, but this extended him by North Korea, I don't think so much as North Korea, and I don't agree with the previous caller at all. But I do believe it goes back to China convincing Kim Jong-un to extend their hand to South Korea, because a united Korea would be ideal for China, because China wanted to take over Korea during World War II, but MacArthur was pushed back and told not to go any further into China. So I think, and I remember reading a book back in 1994. It's called Thick, Safe, Black Heart, and it had to do. It involved with us the Trans-Pacific opening for trade with us, and is understanding the Chinese and the Asian way of thinking and doing. And the one thing that always stuck out in my brain was, what is not, and what is not is. It's just, she said, do not trust what is.
No, Helen, you make some excellent points, and I do agree that China probably wouldn't want to see peace in the peninsula. I mean, a united Korea, it wouldn't be united, it would still be North and South, but a peaceful alliance between the two would help. But I don't think it's just China saying, oh, we benefit from the two of you guys getting along. I think this, my personal opinion, feel free to disagree, stems from President Trump talking to Xi Jinping, both at Mar-a-Lago and when they met at the G21 summit. I mean, you can't just dismiss President Trump and his positive relationship with the head of China, no?
I'm just saying to beware, that's all.
Oh, you always have to be. Thank you very much. Of course, cautiously optimistic. Let's head out to Dr. Savage's flagship in San Francisco, KSFO Line 5. Buck, how we doing, Buck?
Hey, Lou, great show. Listen, I'm going to say it to you straight, okay? Like every meeting of every one of these heads of states is nothing more than a dog and pony show. The man can't be trusted. We don't know the in and outs of the Iranian deal letter for letter. President Trump does. He said it was a bad deal. He knows what's best for the United States. He should stick to his guns. If the Europeans don't like it, too bad. They have a lot of profitability in these bad deals. You know, let's get on them for not paying their bills to the NATO or United Nations. As far as Kim Jong-un, I served in Korea twice, okay? They don't want a united Korea. They want that power struggle. It would be beneficial if they were like China that opened their markets and said, wow, we can be an economic superpower and he can still be in charge. He doesn't want that. He rules by thumb. He rules by hammer. And if he was any part of a man, he would turn himself into a world tribunal for crimes against humanity because he is a criminal and a murderer. That's what I think.
That is well said. But one last thing, Buck, I want to run this by you. China and Xi Jinping, I think he's kind of tired of Kim Jong-un. He's kind of like an anchor on him. He's kind of a pain, you know. He's got to drag him around. He's his puppet master, and he has to answer for all of his bad behavior. He's welcomed into the G21. He meets with Trump. He has peace with South Korea. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's got this proverbial monkey off his back. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. We'll take a quick break. Before we go, check out michaelsavage.com. Check out Dr. Savage's pictures and his stories from his trip to Washington, D.C. while you're there getting all of your headlines. My name is Lou Pate. You are listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Oh, I don't think he's playing. No, I don't think he's playing. And you know, it's never gone like this. It's never gone this far. I don't think it's ever had this enthusiasm for them wanting to make a deal. And yeah, I agree. The United States has been played beautifully like a fiddle because you had a different kind of a leader. We're not going to be played, okay? We're going to hopefully make a deal. If we don't, that's fine. The United States in the past was played like a fiddle. Money going in and nobody knew what was happening the day after an arrangement was made. If you call it a deal, I doubt it, but an arrangement was made. They start with the nuclear weapons again. That's not happening to us.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate here with you. How could you not love off-the-cuff Donald Trump? Come on, man. It's fantastic. So we've got North Korea. We've got Iran. We're talking Alfie Evans. We're talking Chuck Schumer, Maroon, Brooklyn's own. You can have them. Criticizing Mike Pompeo. The man graduated first in this class from West Point, and Chuck Schumer says he might not have our values and principles. Let's go to WABC. Sean, welcome to the Savage Nation. Thank you for holding.
Hi, no problem. Yeah, I think the effectiveness of Trump is more that we don't understand his quote rhetoric because he's speaking their language. Kim Jong-un is brought to the table because Trump uses phrases like, fury and fire. The Iranians aren't buzzing our surface vessels anymore with patrol boats because they know Trump means what he says, and that's what gets it done over there. And same thing all over the Middle East. He's speaking their language, and they get it. Our diplomacy doesn't work with them because we're not speaking to England or Germany or Putin or Australians because we speak each other's language. He's using the metaphoric, phrases like that, and they're like, wow, we got to take this guy seriously. Just like Nixon. They thought he was nuts. That's why, China opened up and Russia kind of went, whoa, what's going on? Oh, hey, Rich, So,
1972, the historic trip with Richard Nixon to China opened up trade with China. He doesn't get enough credit for that. Well said, Sean. But here's the deal. Now, you have him basically saying peace through strength. That's his mantra. And, Obama would always say, let's do it diplomatically. And, they would lie to him, just like Assad and Putin lied to him back in 2012 about getting rid of the chemical weapons. He believed them, and here we are, had to bomb them in 2017, have to bomb them again in 2018. Peace through strength. Basically, some people say it's tough talk that's going to get us into a war. A caller called before and said, I forget exactly, but it was the terminology he used, but he said that, Trump was not being irresponsible, but he was talking about his rhetoric and criticizing the rhetoric, but left out the fact that his fiery rhetoric came from the fact that Kim Jong-un tried to bomb him. He threatened to bomb us, Sean.
Yeah, and they are not going to eat Trump's lunch. And they've been doing that for decades because our presidents and politicians worried more about poll numbers. They know that. They're not stupid. They said, if I push a little here and I push a little there, I'll get over here. Because I know the president of the United States can't say that. We think Trump's nuts. I love him, but because he says it, and they say, okay, time to fall in line.
Hey, just quickly, Sean, there at WABC, if he pulls this off and he gets him to get rid of his nukes, does he get the credit for a denuclearized Korean peninsula? CNN's already trying to spin it to Kim Jong-un. They're trying to give the murderous dictator the credit for today. Could you believe that?
No, I could believe it because that's how much the vitriol is against Trump. But to be honest, it's unavoidable. Trump would have that's such an achievement, and since Eisenhower, you know what I mean? Like there's no Truman. I'm going way back.
Well, and look, he's your guy. Look, I'm from the Bronx, but Schumer's from Brooklyn, and Sean, he wouldn't. Schumer is holding up hundreds of appointments, and one even being Richard Grenell. He just finally got it. A year and a half you got to wait from when you're appointed. It's nuts. It's totally just hating Trump. Okay, listen, if you're holding, please continue to hold. Right after the top of the hour break, we are going straight to your calls at 855-400-SAVAGE. My name is Lou Pate. This is the Savage Nation. It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday, and he's going to have a lot of news stories for you. But if you want to get all caught up and see pictures and read the stories from his trip this week to Washington, D.C., go to michaelsavage.com. And while you're there, get your headlines as well. 855-400-SAVAGE. We're going to get right back to the phones, but for those just joining us, we're talking about historic day, North Korea, Kim Jong-un, South Korea, Moon Jae-in, shaking hands. Is it a giant step towards peace in the Korean peninsula? What does this mean towards the meeting of Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump? Or is Kim Jong-un playing the world? Is South Korea getting played? Will Trump get played? But let's think optimistically. Let's say he pulls it off, and we have a denuclearized Korean peninsula. Will Trump get the credit? Well, not from the corrupt media in the United States. That much I know. We're also talking about the Iran deal. Macron was in town from France earlier in the week at the state dinner. Dr. Savage was at the breakfast or the lunch. I forget which one. And maybe both. And then now we have Angela Merkel from Germany in. Her job, like Macron, is to talk Donald Trump into staying with the Iran deal. A deal that I agree with our president is a bad deal. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Well, and if he goes, does this hurt our relationship with the allies we have in Europe, in this case Germany and France. It's interesting to see. So we have all of that going on. When I entered into the fray, a case that is close to my heart, just as Charlie Gard was. I actually learned about Charlie Gard from the Savage Nation. Team Savage here taught me about Charlie Gard. And now they also introduced me to the Alfie Evans case. And Alfie Evans, a 2-year-old boy in Britain, like Charlie Gard was, may Charlie rest in peace. He has a disease, a very strange disease. They don't even know what it is yet. They speculate that it might be similar to Charlie Gard's mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome. But they really don't know. What they do know is that it has destroyed more than 70% of the white matter in his brain. And now his parents want to take him, Alfie Evans, to Italy for treatment. The British government, like they did with Charlie Gard, if you remember, said no. Charlie Gard's parents had it all lined up. Some of the best doctors in the world in New York City said that they would give him free care. Hospitals were on board with it. People arranged travel care, accommodations for the parents. The British government would not let them take their own child out of Britain. Charlie Gard subsequently died. People say, well, he only had a 10% chance of living. So, it's life. 10% could lead to 100%. If you had a 10% chance of living, would you tell me, no, don't give me treatment? How would you like it if your government said you can't leave the country to go get treatment? How would you like if the government said you can't take your kid out of the country? Think about it. Doctors took Alfie off life support a few days ago, and surprisingly, he's still breathing on his own. His father wants to get him treatment. The British government saying no. This is amazing, but what this is, if you don't hear the echo of what I'm saying, this is Obamacare, folks. This is socialized medicine. That's what they have over there in the UK. This is single payer. This is universal health care. This is what Obama and our politicians, both Republican and Democrat in Washington, D.C., tried to steer us towards, okay? Now, the Republicans didn't vote for it, but they didn't exactly go fighting, kicking, and screaming on that nefarious Christmas Eve vote. So another young Brit is going to die because of socialized medicine. Add insult to injury, the doctors there did not give Alfie Evans food or water for 24 hours after they removed him from life support. He's still alive. He could live for years, his father said. Why can't these parents take their child to Italy where they can get care for him, maybe save his life or at least increase the quality of his life or maybe add years to his life? Nigel Farage is a name that you might remember because he was part of the Brexit effort. He was a driving force in that. You might remember him from being on TV, big smile. Well, he has comments on this. He was on Fox News. Let's play clip number 13. This is Nigel Farage.
Well, it's proof that the state has got too big. That's what it's absolute proof of. Here you've got, all the instruments of state, a state-run health system, a state-run court system, a state-run political system, and nobody, literally just me in British politics speaking up for these parents, everybody else cowed into silence, because if they criticize the state, everyone jumps on them. Something is going very badly wrong here.
And that is an understatement. So we're going to get to the phones. If you're talking about North Korea, we're going to get to you. If you're talking about Iran, we're going to get to you as well. Let's go to Paul at WABC, line 4. Paul, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hi, Lou. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for holding.
Good. Lou, thank you. Thank you for bringing up the story of little baby Alfie Evans.
I have to give credit where credit's due, and that goes to producer Jim, because he brought this to my attention,
right.
And it's producer Jim's baby there, and no pun intended, but I'm very passionate about Charlie Gard. He made me passionate about, and I'm equally as passionate about this because it's appalling.
Absolutely, because I followed the Charlie Gard story, and it broke my heart because the mainstream media was not covering it the way they should have. Anybody with a son or a daughter, a niece, a nephew, if anybody had a baby in a hospital and they were being stopped by the government, by the hospital themselves, by the staff, from getting further help that could help their child, if this doesn't outrage everybody, I don't know what can. And I just thank you for bringing up this story, because with the power of love, the power of prayer, anything can happen.
And throw in a little Western medicine, and you never know. I mean, prayer, love, and medicine. Why do you think that the media doesn't cover this story as they ignored the Gard story as well? Very limited coverage on little Charlie Gard and his parents' plight.
Okay, because this will shed the light on what you brought up before, Lou. This will shed the light on the injustice of single-payer health care. And this is a crystal clear example for anybody to see what can happen when you're giving the government controlling your lives, your literal lives. And if this doesn't outrage everybody about a single-payer health system, as I mentioned before, I don't know what could. What I'd like to know is what Dr. Ben Carson's take would be on this whole thing. This would be interesting if we could get his take. But I'm praying to God. And plus the Pope has intervened. You know, they've solicited, his help. The poor parents in this case, Alfie Evans' parents. Right. They've solicited, and the Pope is there. I think he even offered a plane to go get the parents and the baby, to bring them back to Italy, for that specialist in Italy, so they can further help.
Well, I commend the Pope for his efforts, but it's the British government. They denied the Gard parents. Now Alfie Evans, the parents, and as you said, you mentioned Italy. They're not allowed to take him to Italy, as the Gard parents were not allowed to take him to the United States. It's whose child is it? It's amazing, but I can hear the passion. I can hear you're upset, but don't be upset. We'll stay on this, and we'll see where it goes. We're going to get to everybody else on this, as well as North Korea and Iran and other stuff. Thank you for your call. Let's go out to Dr. Savage's flagship in San Francisco, KSFO. Kenneth, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hey, thanks for being on the call today. You know what? Just think about this, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. If that boy lived, the political and financial impact on the UK's financial system, they would lose politically because they fight against all that. So this is what this is about. This is about them not proving them wrong, and two, who's going to pay for it if this kid lived, right? Because it would open up Pandora's box over in the UK saying, now my child deserves better health care. And so, and it's sad that we put human life last and money first. Political first, money second, human life third. So anyway, guys, I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
All right, thank you, Kenneth. Very passionate there. Do appreciate it. And it's exactly as Kenneth says, but also I don't think they care about the life part, as Kenneth eloquently said. I mean, they, as noted, they did not, after taking him off the life support, they didn't give him food or water for 24 hours. I mean, you wouldn't do that to any living creature. It's incredible. Let's stay in San Francisco, line 2. Patricia, KSFO. We'll get a female perspective. How are you, Patricia? Welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hi, Lou. I just wanted to make mention, if Princess Diana were alive, do you think that she would intervene on this case and would have done it also for Charlie Gard?
Well, I don't like to jump in and say where people who have passed would be on a particular issue, especially 21 years after she passed. A lot of people say Martin Luther King, where would he be? How would he feel about this, that, or the other thing? But I'll tell you what, Patricia, she did get involved with a lot of causes. I don't know what she would have done, but my question is, where is Prince William? Where is Prince Harry? Where is Prince Charles? Where's the Queen on this? They could step in. They don't have political power, but they have, to legislate, but they have power. So I like to think Diana would jump in. That's an interesting analogy. She sadly is no longer with us, but her whole family is still alive. So why are they, the question is, Patricia, why are they so silent on this?
I don't know. That's why I'm saying you have Theresa May, a woman prime minister. You have Queen Elizabeth, a woman queen. I mean, I thought women were to be compassionate and love their children. I cannot believe what is going on in that country. I'm absolutely appalled by all of it. It just makes me sick. And to have the police outside of the hospital warning, if you could pass this line, I don't know if they would shoot you or what they would do. And plus now they're going to people that are online that are writing stuff, and they're warning them that you better not do this or you better not do that or you're going to pay the price. This is absolutely insane. I mean,
It is insane.
What are we living at? It's like Germany.
And this is what the Obama administration and the Democrats wanted to give us in the form of health care. This is Obamacare.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Sarah Palin, death panels.
Yeah, exactly. And they mocked her. And that's all they know how to do is mock. But, Patricia, thank you very much for your call. Do appreciate it. Let's go to line 1. Richard, KSFO. Richard, thank you for holding. How are you?
Hey, thank you. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay. How can I help you?
Well, I was just wondering why nobody is asking the question. Here we have a second disease that is probably the same as the first, they say. If there's 1 and 2, well, how many more are there? People not speaking up. And if that is the case, even in the least degree, it's keeping them silent for a reason. The government isn't allowing them to leave and be examined by anyone else. Perhaps it's tied to something they know of, responsible for mad cow disease, whatever. There's something that is keeping them silent. Somebody's got a little black.
Well, it is very rare. They don't know if it's mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome, also known as MDDS, Richard. But if it is Alfie Evans, the British 2-year-old, would be the 17th person in the world, not the UK, the world, to be diagnosed with this disease. They let little Charlie Gard die. They're hoping Alfie dies. They practically tried to kill him. They disconnected him, and he breathing on his own for 3 days, and they tried to starve him to death. No food or water for 24 hours. Appalling, repugnant, disgusting. I don't know how else to describe it. We're going to take a break, 855-400-SAVAGE. We're going to get to all of your calls on all of these topics. And remember to go to michaelsavage.com. Check out Dr. Savage's great pictures and stories from his trip to Washington, D.C. while you're there getting all of your latest headlines. My name is Lou Pate. You are listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday. In the meantime, go to michaelsavage.com, see his pictures, his stories from his D.C. trip while you're there getting your latest headlines. 855-400-SAVAGE, talking Alfie Evans, the little 2-year-old in Great Britain who's being denied medical care. And we're also continuing our conversation. All topics are on the table. Iran, North Korea, the peace that's going on there, the handshake heard around the world, as I've been calling it. But I talked about Farage earlier, who's known from the Brexit. He was commenting on this whole Alfie Evans story, the boy who will not be, his parents are not allowed to take him out of the country to get care for him, much like Charlie Gard. And he, a caller question before, is the British government afraid that if someone gets better care somewhere else, what will it do to their establishment? And in clip number 14, he comments on that. Excuse me. This is Nigel Farage.
It's almost as if the medical establishment is frightened that people going elsewhere might get better treatment. And of course, the truth is that medical science advances at different speeds in different parts of the world. We should not be denying children this kind of treatment, whether it's in Italy or as it was last year in the case of Charlie Gard, where Mike Pence and indeed President Trump got involved, treatment in the USA. But it all comes down to freedom and liberty. Are parents ultimately responsible for their children, or does the state own them? And that's what really worries me.
Well said. Let's go to line 4. Chuck, KVOA. Welcome to the Savage Nation.
Well, hi, Lou. I have a lot of familiarity with this type of issue. I'm a physician. I was a head of a large healthcare organization. It's a very complicated issue. Here's a question for you. Let's say there were no doctors willing to take care of this kid because they would say, hey, look, it's fetal care. I can't do anything for him. There's a condition called anencephaly, which occurs, I think, in about 1 in every 25,000 births, where a child is born with nothing above the brainstem.
Okay.
And these kids all die. They decided to not let one die, and he lived.
Wait, Chuck, could you hold that? I don't normally hold people over through breaks, but since you're a doctor and we're talking this, can you hold through the break, please?
Yeah.
All right, hold that thought. Lou Pate here with you. This is the Savage Nation, talking Alfie Evans, talking North Korea, talking Iran. We're going to get to all your calls. 855 855-400-SAVAGE. This is the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate with you, along with Team Savage. Dr. Savage will be back on Monday. In the meantime, go to michaelsavage.com. You will not be disappointed. Not only will be updated on all your news and headlines, you get to see pictures from Dr. Savage's trip and read stories about his trip to Washington, D.C. Talking Alfie Evans, talking socialized medicine, a young boy, 2 years old, his parents being denied the right to save his life, or at least attempt to try to save his life. It's an echo of the sad Charlie Gard story from just a year and a half ago or so. But let's get back to the phones. We were talking KVOA. Chuck. Hey, Chuck, how we doing?
Lou. Good. Look, no, but I don't want to go into my background, but I've been involved with issues like this for over 30 years.
So you're basically saying we should let the babies die.
It's a very complex issue.
I understand, but you're basically saying let them die.
No, I'm not saying anything. You didn't listen to what I had to say.
Yes, I did. We're short on time, but you were saying before, 1 in 25,000 are born with, you referenced the disease. I don't remember the name of it. And you said, what if there's no doctors who wanted to treat them? To me, that says you want to let them die.
So how much money, not how much you have. First of all, can you find a doctor other than in Italy? And I don't know why. This was at a Catholic hospital in Rome.
Right.
That they're willing to do it. I don't know what doctor would say that he has any chance of doing anything for this kid.
They're not saying that, but what they're saying is they're going to try. Isn't the life worth saving?
Of course it is, but there are 100. I saw a 100-year-old woman operated on before cataract surgery for a brain tumor.
Chuck, this is a 2-year-old.
There's a point, the fact that
Chuck, this is a 2-year-old. You're going to compare it to a 90-something-year-old woman? I'm not saying she should die either, but come on, you can't compare the two.
This way, let's put it this way: that 90-year-old or 100-year-old, she was 100. Had more of a life expectancy than this kid.
So he should be allowed to die because of maybe? Charlie Gard had 10% chance to live. So what? What if I told you had a 10% chance to live? You going to pull the plug?
No.
Okay, there we go. Thanks for your call. I think that sums it right up right there. 855-400-SAVAGE. Oh, you got a 10% chance to live. No, save me. He's got a 10% chance to live. Little Charlie and Alfie. No, come on. The life expectancy. What is it? Oh, my gosh. I can't believe that. I thought he would at least fib. Roxanne in San Francisco, line 1, KSFO. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for taking my call. And I have a statement and a question. Which do you want first?
Let's go with the question. Well, all right, then let's move on from that. To see what else you had to say. Let's go to Brad, KFAY. Hey, Brad, how we doing? He's gone too. All right, maybe these guys are hitting bad cell zones. 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-SAVAGE. Lou Pate here with you. Okay, we were talking about Alfie Evans, but I didn't forget about our folks who wanted to talk about the historic day with North Korea and South Korea. Moon Jae-in, Kim Jong-un shaking hands over the DMZ. Pretty amazing. Just think a few months ago, okay, a soldier ran from the North Korean side and his own soldiers shot him up 6 times. Now, less than a year later, the two leaders are shaking hands as a scheduled meeting between the President of the United States and Kim Jong-un looms. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So think about that. Andrew, KSFO. Andrew, welcome to the Savage Nation. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, I think Trump definitely gets the credit for getting the meeting to this point. I mean, he put the screws to China. China puts the screws to North Korea. But just look at what's going on around the world. Before Trump, ISIS and the Middle East brethren over there were cutting heads off and torturing everybody every other day on YouTube. Now you don't hear a peep out of them. My guess is he had our guys bomb the bejesus out of them or bomb Jesus into them, however you want to take it. He's out there slapping European leaders like it's the thing to do, exposing them for the weenies they are. Look at Trudeau, our Canadian Prime Minister up there in North.
Trudeau's a fool.
Like a soy boy, okay? Our southern neighbors are sitting up.
All right, no, we don't have to go all around the map. I understand. Thanks for your call. We put the screws to them, and that's what happens. They know Trump is serious. They knew Obama was not. Gidget, WABC, New York. Welcome to the Savage Nation. Hey, Gidget, how we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How can I help you?
Well, I was, I guess, put over to your office because I heard that you guys were going to be doing some stuff on Alfie Evans.
Yes.
We're not live on the radio now, are we?
Yes, you are live.
Oh, I am live. Okay.
You are on the Savage Nation, which is Dr. Michael Savage.
Okay. Yeah, I was reaching out. I've been involved in the Alfie case for over a year now, and I just want to thank you guys so much for stepping up and giving little Alfie a voice.
Okay, and then I want to make sure. My name is Lou Pate. Dr. Savage, this is his show. I'm just filling in today, and he'll be back on Monday. But how were you involved in the case, Gidget?
Well, about a year ago, I heard about Alfie's case that he was looking for a hospital, and I stepped up here in America and said, "Not on my watch. I'm not going to see another Charlie Gard," and I offered to help the family find a hospital here in the United States, and in which case we did come up with several hospitals that were willing to take Alfie into their care. However,
in New York or just the United States?
No, I actually live in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, okay. All right. So the hospitals were in Salt Lake?
Nope. We had a couple hospitals across the United States that were willing to accept Alfie into his care.
Okay, and when was this?
Well, we started back in the summertime, and we finally decided to go with the Bambino Hospital in Italy because they were within what's called EU, and because that...
Gidget, I'm sorry, because we have the constraints of time, and I apologize for that, but if you could kind of just fast forward, I hope I'm not being rude, but I want you to get everything in that's necessary before we run out of time. I apologize.
You're fine. So we decided to try to go with the European hospital because it was closer to family, and the hospital also offered 100% free care.
And then what happened?
Well, right when we got him to go to the hospital, we ended up having a situation to where the hospital took us to court to remove the ventilator.
And this was, which hospital in Great Britain was this?
It's the Alder Hayes Children's Hospital that took us to court to remove the parental rights. They were insistent that the ventilator should be shut off rather than transfer the child to the hospital that was willing to take him.
And then this is when then he continued to breathe on his own for 3 days, as I mentioned earlier. And I also that they did not give him food and water for 24 hours after that.
This is correct. This is a standard care that you will see, which has been an eye-opener for me, that this palliative care under socialized medicine, they will oftentimes remove hydration and nutrition and their medications as part of palliative care so that it speeds up the death.
So they're basically trying to kill them.
Basically, it's orchestrated to that extent in a lot of ways, yes.
Now, Gidget, what is your organization? Can you tell me? Is there a website?
I am not with a website. I was a part of Alfie's army.
Okay.
Helping just as an individual, and became close to the family, and very much love the family. They're fantastic people.
Well, I tell you, when we're done with your call, don't hang up, because I want to get your information, and hopefully you can put us in touch with the family. And if they're willing, we know they're going through a lot. If they want to share their story here on the Savage Nation, we would definitely like to consider that.
Absolutely. I would be fine with putting you in touch with someone.
Okay, so after we're done, we're not done yet, don't hang up, and our team will take your information. So now, what is the excuse of the British government when it comes to Charlie Gard, when it comes to Alfie Evans, that they will not let the parents of their own child seek help in Italy, or with Charlie Gard, it was in the United States. What's the excuse?
Well, unfortunately, it's written into the laws, and the laws are their biggest hang-up right now. They have chosen socialized medicine, and the socialized medicine programs are basically making these decisions, based, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but based off of your bottom line, if you will, the number of how much it's going to cost to take care of this person over an amount of time and whether they can contribute back.
But now, where is the humanity? I mean, I feel bad, that maybe I'm a softie. I don't know. I feel bad. I see a dead squirrel in the street and I was hit by a car. How can people sit there and watch a child who may have a chance to live just die because it's written on the books, where in Gard's case, the family Gard, they had people waiting in the United States. In this case, with your help as part of Alfie's army, which I commend you for, they can go to Italy, and it might not work, but it just might. I mean, when did the sanctity of life become a throwaway like a DVD player?
That's a good question. I think the thing that we have to worry about as a society is whether we're taking morality out of medical care. They're making laws to break laws, if you think about it. I mean, it's as disgusting as it is, that's what's happening here. The United Kingdom has started making laws that go against, humanitarian laws that we sign in the United Nations.
I mean, are there, in the hospital there, are there priests? Are there nuns from different denominations? I mean, how does this go over with them?
Well, at this point, what we have seen is that the Pope, of course, as you well know, came to Thomas and asked, right, and stood up for Alfie and said that he would love to take Alfie into the Vatican there at the Bambino Gesù Hospital. And the problem is that many priests in the UK, in my opinion, are fearful to step up for what is right. There was one priest who just recently did step up, and my understanding is that he was recalled from the hospital as the priest and is being sent somewhere else for standing up for Alfie. So I think... So you stand up for life, you get transferred and or fired. Exactly. And unbelievable. We're seeing with a lot of people at the hospital. We've had people who've come to us and spoken to us, but they're scared to come forward because they've got families. They're afraid that they're fighting their government. They're afraid that people are being riddled by fear not to stand up or not to be able to stand up, if you will. They're being suppressed from being able to do anything about it. And this is what I've clearly seen since I've been involved for the past year.
So now, someone said that there's guards. A caller from San Francisco said that there's police officers outside the hospital just in case there's an altercation. Can you confirm that?
I can absolutely confirm it, yes. They had about 23 police officers in front of the door. When Thomas relieved duty of care of the hospital to transfer his son out of there so that they didn't murder him, they had about 6 police officers on the unit blocking him from being able to leave with his child and the medical team. We had a qualified medical team and 2 doctors there to transfer.
Hold that thought there, Gidget. Hold it. Don't hang up. Don't go away because I have to take a commercial break. My name is Lou Pate. This is the Savage Nation. Dr. Savage will be back on Monday. Go to the website, michaelsavage.com. Check out Dr. Savage's pictures and his stories from his trip to Washington, D.C. while you're there getting all of your headlines. This is unbelievable. You are listening to The Savage. Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate in for Dr. Savage. He will be back on Monday as we make our way towards the top of the hour. Let's get to Norman WJJF. Welcome to the Savage Nation. How are you?
Very good, Lou. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for holding. I know you've been there for a spell. I appreciate and respect your time.
Yes, listen, the reason I'm calling is that I want to talk a little bit about, I'll make it brief, North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine that was on the negotiating team in 1994 on behalf of President Clinton, and he was one of the guys that brought $400 million up to North Korea to hopefully coerce them into stopping their nuclear program, which we know worked real well.
Right.
Where the money went, but they either put that money into their nuclear program or possibly continued their nuclear program and possibly fed their
right.
population. I don't know. But I just wanted to say that, like you said, cautious optimism during their negotiations. When things went a little awry or straight off the topic, the North Koreans would get up and start pounding the table, a la Nikita Khrushchev, if you remember his behavior in the past, and come up with proverbs, North Korean proverbs. And my interpretation's not quite accurate, but it was along the lines of, may the flames of 1,000 dogs burn your soul. So all I can say is I hope they have better Un than they did with his dad, Il.
Hey, just quickly, Norman, do you think there's a possibility that President Trump can be played? I don't think he can. I don't think he will.
No. I mean, for the past 8 years, I mean, we've had to deal with a gutless, spineless representative as a president. And I think that Obama not only was unpatriotic, but I consider him a traitor for what he's done to this country. And Trump has put down a much, much different protocol to the world, and it works.
He definitely laid down the law. Hey, listen, you enjoy the fishing out there in Montauk, huh? I'm a little jealous, I have to say, as the weather gets warmer. But thank you for your call. Do appreciate it. WJJF, one of Dr. Savage's affiliates, Eastern Long Island. Hey, as we make our way to the top of the hour, special thanks to Jim. Special thanks to Ron. They are Team Savage. Now you know their names. They work hard before, during, and after the show. My name is Lou Pate. Dr. Savage will be back on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. This is the Savage Nation.